Good evening, everybody. I hope that you're okay and having a fabulous Wednesday. So, unfortunately, we are doing this on a Wednesday because my guest this evening had to alter my timetable and request a different day. So, this is Wednesday, but it is still our stories. And today we have Tommy from Tommy James Photography. Tommy is someone that I met actually at a wedding fair, and he fell in love with my dresses before he even knew who I was. And I've done a lot of work with Tommy since we first met, so I thought he would be a really good person to come on to our stories, because you will see lots of his pictures on my social media, so I thought it would be good for you guys to get to know him. So let me bring him in. Good evening.
Good evening, Charlotte. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. Look how posh he is, everybody. I've just been laughing at him.
I'm representing my business, so this is how I would meet my clients when we had our first meeting. So I just thought I'd sort of carry that on. So
no, it's very good, and it's lovely to see you get dressed up. So thank you. So, Tommy, for those people that don't know you, so all my watchers, do you want to start by just telling us your story, who you are, how you've got to where you've got to now?
Okay, so my name's Tommy James. I run and own Tommy James Photography. We mainly specialise in wedding photography now. We do different aspects of photography, but it's mainly wedding that we specialise in now. Tommy James Photography was set up back in 2012 when I actually left the army. And the story behind how I got into photography was basically growing up as a kid. My mum was an actual photographer, and she had the professional cameras lying about and stuff like that. And it was about in my teens and sort of at the time of MySpace that was around. Me and my friends would wait until my mum went out with my dad for a meal or whatever, and we'd sort of get hold of the camera and try and take some really cool profile pictures for MySpace. So that was my first experience with messing around with a professional camera. And then after that, my mum brought me a little point and shoot digital camera. It's only, sort of wallet size. You could put it in your pocket. And I'd just walk around, take photos, when I was out with my friends, take photos, etc. Fast forward in a few years, I then went into the army. And while I was in training in the army up at Catterick, I took this little digital camera with me. And obviously all the lads dressed up in their army uniform with the rifles, etc. They all wanted pictures that they could send home to their parents, girlfriends, etc. And they would ask me to take photos, which at the time was no skin off my nose. I wouldn't mind taking them. But then I sort of seen a niche in the market of selling the prints back to the lads. So every Saturday I'd go down Darlington and go to Boots and print off anywhere from 200 to 300 photos, and pay like a couple of pence a photo. And then I'd sell the photos back to the lads from anywhere from £5 to £10 a pop. So brilliant. Through training, I was quite flush at the time. Anyway, yeah, we that carried on for 6 months through training. I weren't just doing it for my platoon, I was doing it for other platoons. So yeah, and then I went from training to my actual battalion, the 2nd Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. We were based in London. At that point, sort of taking photos was sort of on hold. I was first, like I said, I was based in London. I was on Queen's Guard, so I was guarding Buckingham Palace, Tower of London.
Were you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so initially it was Buckingham Palace to start with, and then we went on to the Tower of London. But everyone thinks that the soldiers that guard Buckingham Palace, Tower of London, etc., are the guys with the red number twos and the bearskins. But through the summer, they have to do the change in the guard every day instead of every couple of days, because it's actually seen as a tourist attraction. So through the summer, they have to actually bring in another regiment to sort of help with that, because otherwise it'd be a lot of work for the Queen's Guards to do. So obviously 2009, we were part of Queen's Guard. So I did that for 6 months. And then at that point, I met my wife. We got married. And then I was posted to Germany. Now, while we were out in Germany, we couldn't really speak German. It was quite boring. So I was walking through the camp one day, and I seen an advertisement for night school courses at a German college doing photography. So I spoke with my wife, Gemma. She said, yeah, it's probably a good idea. So I went along and thought I was going to learn photography. However, this guy was obviously German. He couldn't speak a word of English. So learning photography from this teacher was a no-go. However, it sort of then lit a fire in me that, you know, I wanted to do photography. So I actually trained myself using YouTube. So I was using YouTube every night after work. I'd be going on YouTube, researching stuff, etc. Then my mom actually sent out one of her cameras to me, so I had a camera to practice with, and I was just taking pictures of everything. I can remember some mornings going out and taking pictures of landscapes, bridges, stuff like that, animals. And this is the kind of period that I decided that landscape photography wasn't for me. Animal photography wasn't for me. And it wasn't until my battalion actually found out that I was doing photography on the side outside of the army. And they actually made me the battalion photographer for my last year of the army. So through my last year, I was taking pictures of parades. I was taken to Kenya, taking pictures in Kenya.
Wow.
We were actually training the Kenyan army, so there's a lot of photo opportunities there. The wildlife out there, landscape. It was great. Where else have I been with the army? So they actually sent me back by minibus one time to film to take photos of a football match, which is a big football match, the Army versus Navy. So it was literally like a 16-hour drive back just to take photos for 90 minutes and then 16 hours back. So that was a bit of a crazy time. But yeah, I've been all over taking photos. I've took photos of some royal visits as well when they've come. So the army was a starting point for me. And then when I come out of the army, the army sort of want to help you get into some sort of work, career, etc. So you get a sort of resettlement fee. And I invested that into a photography course down in Bournemouth, which specialised in weddings. So I was on that course for 2 weeks, where they show you every aspect of wedding photography. However, at this point, I still wasn't 100% sold that wedding photography was going to be my way forward. I had a passion for studio photography, and that's the way I wanted to go, but I needed to cover weddings as well. So yeah, I've done this course. I come back to Nuneaton, sunny Nuneaton, and I set up in my mum's living room at a makeshift studio, and it was literally a white sheet, and I started offering family photo shoots for literally next to nothing. My name travelled quite quickly around Nuneaton. I was doing, up to 6 family photo shoots every weekend, and that went on for about a year and a half, and in that time I saved up the money to have my own studio built at my own house. So we got the studio built, but while this is going on, I've done my first wedding, and I'm being slowly pulled into the wedding industry now. Obviously, people have heard that I'm doing family photo shoots. You know, couples are getting married, and then we had a photo shoot with Tom, etc. You know, give him a shout. So yeah, I was pulled into the wedding industry, not by choice. Like I said, I've done the course, but I weren't 100% sold that that's the direction I wanted to go. But anyway, I was pulled into it. First year, I think I'd done 10 weddings. Second year, I was doing 25 weddings. And then the third year was my biggest year. I'd done 30 weddings. And from there, I've been quite consistently doing 28 to 30 weddings every year, apart from 2020. So that is my story of how I got into wedding photography.
So can I ask why you decided to leave the army and do photography? Why didn't you stay doing the army?
Well, before the army, I didn't know where I wanted to go in my life. You know, I was doing factory jobs, and I was going from job to job. I didn't know what direction I wanted to take my life. And the army was an option. I was in the army cadets when I was a young lad,
Okay.
from 13 to 15. My dad was in the army. My granddad was in the army. So it's sort of, you know, it was an option open to me. So I went into the army to give me some sort of direction. You know, I could have stayed and I could have had a career in the army. I could have done my 22 years, retired, and that was that. But while in the army, I decided, you know, as much as I do like the army, you do have your ups, you do have your downs in the army, but it wasn't for me. I wanted to, I'm my own person. I want to be my own boss. I want to make my own money, you know, and doing photography has opened all that up to me. So, you know, the last year it was sort of, yeah, that's where I'm going to go. So I left the army, and that was that.
So when you were at Buckingham Palace, did you meet the Queen?
No.
Did you?
Actually, when you guard Buckingham Palace, you actually sleep there as well. There's if you stand at the front of Buckingham Palace and look at it, on the left-hand side, there's like a little flat, and that's where the guards go, and they have to sleep there for 1 or 2 nights. And in there, you've got like a kitchen, you got your own chefs, gym. That's where you sleep, etc. But there's no way of getting to the Queen, so it's not like I could just knock on the door and ask her for her brie.
Wow, surprised that you didn't. To be fair,
hey, if I could, I would. I had a selfie with the Queen. That would have been funny.
So is Chris Beard a friend of yours? He's put, watch that you don't spill that drink.
Yeah, so Chris Beard is he owns a company called Vintage V. He offers love letters, you know, light up numbers, etc. for weddings, events. So that's Chris Beard, and he watches all the live. And a couple of lives ago, when I was doing it for Midlands Online, I actually dropped my drink. My wife had to covertly come in and mop it up for me while playing with a live. So that's what he's on about.
Okay. And Gavin has put, I thought the Burberry would be on. He's very disappointed. So it's a shame. So anyway, back to you, Tommy James.
So can we just cover the Burberry, because I don't want people thinking I'm an absolute chav and just wear Burberry. Can we just? Gavin is Charlotte's husband, okay, and he brought some Burberry shoes, and ever since I've sort of took the mickey slightly about his shoes, because I used to wear Burberry when I was a kid. Not anymore. That's where that joke's coming from. I'm not an absolute football hooligan or anything like that.
Right, so moving swiftly on from Burberry.
Having shoes.
I know, God. What is your most defining moment? What's made you Tommy James?
I would have to say my army career and leaving the army. You know, like I said, the army has changed me in a person. It's made me a lot more confident, and it gives me the strive to, you know, be the best. Which I know that's the army saying, but you know, I'm always trying to better myself. I always want to be the best. I always want to give my clients the best. So, you know, and I always go above and beyond. When you hire me, you don't just hire a photographer, you know. I'm looking out for you on the day. If I can see any sort of anything that's going wrong, I will try and intercept any form of stress that will come your way. So you can just enjoy your day and just carry on. So I would have to say it's the army, you know, it did make me into the person I am today.
And so for maybe brides watching this, what's the most important thing that they should know about you as Tommy the photographer?
I hate slugs with a passion.
How is that even relevant?
It's an important fact about me, you know.
So if there's a slug in the way, you're not moving it for a bride?
Well, that's different. You know, bride and grooms, they are number one in my eyes. So, like I said, I'll go above and beyond. So if I have to touch it and get out of the way, then that's what I will do for you.
That's hilarious. So 2021, what are you looking forward to? 2020 wasn't the greatest year for anyone. So what are you looking forward to in this year?
Okay, so I'm going to add on to this question, if I may. Back in 2020, I made the decision that I was going to better Tommy James photography. I invested heavily in new equipment, new cameras, etc. And the idea behind 2020 was to better myself and better the company. So I'd invested also into a few workshops, courses in photography, etc. And it was to move myself up a level. However, that was sort of taken away from me with COVID. However, me and Charlotte actually met at a wedding fair, Bosworth Hall wedding fair, just before COVID. It was literally the week before we went into lockdown. And I fell in love with a couple of Charlotte's dresses. We had a bit of a chat about doing a few styled shoots, which Charlotte wasn't keen on whatsoever. It took some persuading, but we got there in the end. And through lockdown one, me and Charlotte had a few chats, and you know, we decided that as soon as we were out of lockdown one, we were going to do styled shoots, because I was determined that 2020 was not going to be taken away from me. I still wanted to better my skills. So we teamed up, and I think we done 7 styled shoots in total. So yeah, we've done a lot through different venues. We've got some wicked photos. Charlotte's let me drag one of her £3,000 dresses through a field and over a barbed wire fence to get probably the best photo of 2020. So yeah, I am thankful for that, Charlotte. That was great. I do think that when I enter that into an award next year, I think that's going to win me one. Probably if I tell them how we got there as well. But yeah, so with 2021, going on to 2021, where with 2021, what I want from 2021 is to prove myself. I want to go over what I should have done in 2020, prove myself, better my work, and move up a level in the photography world. So that's my aim, and also do a lot more, you know, live streams, meetings like this as well.
Off the back of that, Philip Carr has said, "Keep up the great work, Tommy." So
yeah. So Philip Carr is actually He's actually one of my old bosses in the army. As we left Germany, he went off to Cyprus, and he was slowly getting into photography, and he's now in Cyprus and he's doing a lot of photography. So yeah, his work's really good as well.
Oh, that's nice. So just a little bit more about you. What is your favourite box set? Just random questions.
So to be honest, I don't really watch a lot of telly. I'm either editing or I'm in front of, you know, the computer doing some form of learning photography, new skills, etc. I've just signed up to a photography course. So any spare time, even I've got it on my phone as well. I'm watching it on my phone. But I am into Peaky Blinders. So yeah, I'm waiting for the new ones of them to come out, and I am quite. I'm quite into the spin-off of Karate Kid at the minute as well. I can't remember what it's called, but I quite like
that in my house. And what about books? Are you reading a book? Is there anything, especially if someone's looking to get in photography, is there a book that you would recommend?
So to be honest with you, I am dyslexic. I'm very dyslexic.
Okay.
You'll probably know that, Charlotte, through me messaging you. You can probably tell. That's why you get a load of voice messages instead of text. At the beginning, I did buy a book, a photography book. I think I tried to read the first page and gave up. So I don't read books.
Is there a YouTuber that you would recommend for photography?
With YouTube, the way you hear a lot of people saying that they've taught themselves using YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is a great tool. But you can't solely rely on it. You need that practical side of it. You do need to go on workshops. You do need to go on courses, etc. Okay, you can do a lot on it, but it's never going to teach you everything.
Yeah.
But is there any? I follow loads of photographers. You know, I'm a strong believer in sort of surrounding yourself in the people that you look up to in that sort of industry. So I do follow a lot of photographers, a lot of good photographers. So yeah, but I couldn't recommend one in particular because there's so many.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I was on a workshop between lockdown 1 and 2. I managed to quickly go on a workshop with UK's current #1 photographer, which was an eye opener. So, but yeah, there's so many out there.
So just to finish off, please can you give us your best piece of advice? Not necessarily about weddings, just for life in general, the thing that you live by.
Well, I'm actually going to say about weddings. I'm quite passionate about weddings. So my best bit of advice for couples planning a wedding is when you're looking at photographers, as silly as it sounds, ask them how many cameras they've got. Okay. And the reason I say this is I know of a few photographers out there that only have one camera. All right. Now, I personally have 3. They're all the same. And the reason that I have 3 is I work with 2 and I've got 1 as a backup. Now, if a photographer's got 1 camera and it breaks on your special day, what are they going to do? Are they going to whip their phone out and start taking photos on their iPhone? So my first bit of advice would be ask how many cameras they've got when it comes to a photographer, which I think is quite good advice.
Well, do some people really just have 1?
Yeah, I know people that that had 1 camera. I understand that you've got to start your business at some point. We all got to start at the beginning, but the wedding industry is not an industry you can go down Argos and buy £100 camera, set up a free Facebook page and call yourself a photographer. All right. You know, like I said, you've got to do some form of training. If you do want to get into wedding photography, then maybe ask a photographer to shadow Go to a few weddings, see how it runs, because it's not an easy thing. It's with a wedding, you cannot go back 2 days later and go, hey, can we just do the first kiss or the exchange of rings again? Because the images I've got are no good. You've got one chance, and that is it. You've got to get it right in that one chance. So it's a lot of pressure that's put on you. So, and bringing me back to the cameras, you do need more than one camera. If a camera breaks on you, and I've had a camera break. I was at Warwick House a few years ago. I had a camera on a strap. The strap snapped. One of my cameras bounced down all the concrete steps and smashed into pieces. But I still had the other two cameras to go with. So I think that is quite an important bit of advice.
Yeah.
Insurance as well. Ask them if they're insured.
Always practical. Can always trust Tommy to be practical.
Well, at the end of the day, it's your special day. Obviously with a wedding, the likelihood is you're only going to do it once. With suppliers, you don't want to take any risks. All right. So, never be scared to ask too many questions. No questions ever stupid. Yeah. Do your research on your supplier. Do your background checks. Check their reviews out. Google reviews, Facebook reviews. Any other form of platforms they may be on. Check the reviews out. Don't be scared to put a status in one of the wedding Facebook groups asking if anyone's used this supplier before, because you might get some good feedback, but they might also get some bad feedback. So do your research on the suppliers, because last thing you want to be done is let down on your wedding day.
That's amazing. Thank you, Tommy. So before we finish, where can people find you if they want to have some more information or have a chat with you?
Okay, so I've got a website which is www.tommyjanesphotography.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram, Tommy Janes Photography, Facebook, Tommy Janes Photography, and I've just set up a LinkedIn. So early stages of LinkedIn. I'm not 100% sure how I use it, but we're getting there.
Amazing. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you so much for being part of this.
No worries.
And I look forward to working with you very soon.
Yep, no worries. As soon as we're out of this lockdown, we're going again.
Yes, we absolutely are. Thank you so much. See you soon.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.